Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Initiative Order and our continuation of Symbaroum. Most of you know me. I'm Nate. I'm your host for this journey, and as usual, I'm joined by my phenomenal cast of players, who in a moment I'll let them all introduce themselves. But first, some thank yous and shout outs and announcements. So first and foremost, thank you as always to the Initiative Order creative team, Danny, Bree, Jay, April. You are all fantastic. Thank you all so much for helping make this show come together and work. Next up, our wonderful sponsors for the channel. First of all, we've got the wonderful Session Zero Clothing. They are the creators of badass TTRPG inspired streetwear. If you use code ORDER at checkout, you will get 15% off your purchase through them. Next up, we've got the phenomenal dice crafters Norse Foundry. They make some beautiful gemstone dice as well as some other TTRPG accessories. If you use code TIO15 at checkout, you will get 15% off your purchase through them. And of course, we've got our very own GotDM Ray of Roaming Player Gear, who's got this beautiful Dice Tower Dice Vault combo. If you use code Carnaby20, that's Carnaby20 at checkout, you can get 20% off that Dice Tower system. Super cool. Check it out. And last thing I want to mention is we do have a coffee or Ko-Fi, whatever you call it, set up for my wonderful cast here. So if you've got a little extra money and want to throw some tips their way, please do. All funds donated to that link there. It'll be down in the chat. It goes directly to the players for donating their time and bringing this lovely entertainment to all of you. I believe that's all that I've got. So let's go ahead and throw it over to our players. Let's go ahead and start off with Kelsey, please.
Hi everyone, I'm Kelsey. I'm Tombs and Tomes on all social media, and in this game I play the witch Kinlegelana.
Wonderful. Let's move over to Keith.
Hi everybody. Keith, drew a blank. You can find me on IG. I am not Kevin Bacon on Twitter, all that D&D, and Twitch. You can see me Aloha808. I play a Green Weaver Witch, and Kelsey and I are part of our little coven.
Beautiful. Let's move down to Leroy, please.
Hey everyone, it's Leroy on all social media and Royalty Know Why. Same thing. I am on Twitch and Instagram, and I am playing the resident goblin Nrobso.
Wonderful. And last but certainly not least, Coral, please.
Oh damn, all y'all got your intros like down pat, and I'm still like hi friends, Coral Reefer here. You can find me on twitch.tv/queerventuretime and twitter.com/ or at qventuretime, because Queer Venture Time is what? Too many characters. Lots of chaos. It's cute, it's fun. Today I am playing the much less chaotic Agithe, the old healing woman who also will stab you with poison.
So surely less chaotic.
I mean, Aggie is the one who, if we remember last session, didn't like tragedy strike, and Aggie was all like, okay, great, let me set up my triage tent. I'd say that's pretty type A.
It's fair. And unfortunately, we are missing Christine today. She is our fifth player. Unfortunately, she's not feeling well. So Christine, we miss you. We love you. Wish you a speedy recovery. You can find her on Instagram and Twitch at Slumberjane. Check her out. She's a wonderful individual. With that, I will ask our lovely tech deity to roll that beautiful intro. We'll see you all back here in a moment. And welcome back, everybody. So, before we dive into today's story, as usual, I will ask who remembers what happened last time. Just going
All
back
right.
with our good old go-to Witch King. Alrighty.
All right. So last time on Symbaroum, we were confronted with the Templar that we had seen the session before, and we learned that they were a member of the Church of Prios, as are the Black Cloaks. And our adventurers learned a little bit about the difference between the often noble-born Templars who interpret what their Sunlord tells them and enforce it, and the Black Cloaks, who are the much more roguish figures in the game. And we were able to further investigate the sinkhole. Specifically, Nrobso went ahead, our resident goblin, because he was hoping to find his longest term employee ever, Cranko. But unfortunately, he wasn't sure whether or not the goblin in the sinkhole was Cranko or not, and no matter how many stones he threw at them, it was all to no avail. But he did see a large serpent-like body coiling around the bottom of the sinkhole, which isn't troubling at all for any reason. And as it was moving, a tremor occurred, and he saw a feminine figure with some very sickly features and some massive predator jaws at the bottom of the sinkhole, who let out a giant shriek that many onlookers heard. And then, trying to just gauge what we could do in that situation, we split up, and one half of us ended up talking to Captain Marvello and getting official permission to enter the sinkhole with the witch Gadramon, and the other half ended up talking to the Templars, learning more about the three of them, and learning more about how some of the Templars hope to make peace between the tribes and the people of Ambria after all of this time. And after a lot of back and forth, we prepared to lower ourselves from a platform into the sinkhole to probably do completely safe above board activities.
Perfect. Yes. So as it stands, the group of you preparing to make your journey down into the sinkhole. Ropes have been acquired. Laerke has kind of taken some of the ropes and this large door that she had pulled off of one of the buildings to try to create like a makeshift platform to help lower all of you down into this area. As preparations are being made, you see a lot of the town guard doing the same, kind of tying off ropes around buildings that are still standing nearby, trying to secure them to anything as sturdy as they can, as they see the group of you preparing to go downward. Up top, any preparations the rest of you would like to make at this time?
I was working on that ritual, and you had me roll a resolute,
Yes.
but hold it. Did you want that value now?
Yep, let's go and start with that. Was it a success?
5, and
5.
my resolute score is 16.
Okay,
So-
yeah. So majorly successful as you're on the edge of the sinkhole preparing to do, I believe it was your overgrowth that you were doing, correct?
Quick growth.
Quick growth. Okay, perfect. So yeah, as the ritual takes place, what does it look like as these vines and trees begin to grow out of the sinkhole?
So I would have gathered up some dirt and pulled out some cloth from my bag, put the dirt in, and I would have put in some seeds of vines and what in real life would be a redwood type of trees. And I would have packed that down, watered it, and all the while I'm chewing and its leaves. And I spit that out and put it on the top to act like a mulch. I would bring up the fabric and envelop the dirt, the seeds, the mulch, and tie it up. And I would have thrown it down into the hole to where I would approximately wanted the growth to start. And then from there, after the ritual is done, I would cast quick growth.
Okay.
So
perfect.
how the vines and the trees work out, I would leave that up to you, because I'm just a novice, I think. So rituals don't have that, huh? Oh yeah, they do. It was novice, so I'm not sure exactly how it would come out, because basically is the first time I've used it.
For sure, for sure. So having the knowledge of this ritual, but not being super practiced with it, you get your ingredients together. You kind of find that perfect combination of seeds to mulch. Um, Throwing it kind of down the sinkhole, you see the bag kind of land down towards the bottom of one of these slopes, and the pouch just kind of sinks down into the ground. And out of that pouch, immediately you all see what looks like this beautiful redwood tree begin to just grow up out of this area, and it begins kind of growing up the slope up towards your direction. So I'll say that with the help of the tree and how sturdy it looks, it could probably help you get down about 60 or so feet down into the hole. And so what you all are looking at with this hole is it's about 2 blocks wide, all sloping downward in to a central hole that goes further down into the ground.
Looks completely safe.
Leggies, I grabbed as much rope as I could find. I took rope from every house, if that was okay.
Absolutely, it was. Thank you so much, Nrobso.
Every single house. Supposedly some type of festival happening. I'm not entirely sure. They were hanging their lanterns from the rooftop. So Kranko and I, we got up there and we just ripped it all down. I hope the festivities are put on hold for now.
I think it's safe to assume that they're certainly not going to be celebrating until we take care of this problem. Isn't that right, Kovaan?
Yeah, I think
Then
we
great.
need to investigate first.
All right, Kranko, let's take these ropes and let's fasten them up. Put them all together for the length that we need.
You got it, boss. And Kranko takes some of the ropes and he begins tying them off together as well.
May I please determine how well Kranko is tying the knots?
Sure, give me a vigilance check if you want.
Amazing. That's a 9 out of 7.
From what you can tell, Kranko is doing the best damn knot tying you have ever seen in your life. His hands are moving so quickly that unfortunately you can't quite gauge, what type of knots he's tying. As he takes his hands away, they look like they're attached.
My Kranko, you are a goblin of many hats.
Kranko helped build the goblin swings back home. We got a nice little playground for the kids.
Delightful. Shall we proceed?
All right, so you can all easily climb down this tree that Kovaan has just created to get about 60 or so feet down the slope. And then from there, if you wish to use the rope at that point, you certainly can, or you can start tying the rope off up here and maneuvering your way down. Up to you guys.
What looks the sturdiest for my frail old body?
I was going to say the same thing. Aggie and I would probably be looking at that going, what would be the best way for us to descend?
Wait, wait. I remembered. Before Laerke went to rest a little bit more, because Laerke brought the biggest door we could find, just so that Aggie could rest her loins as they are lowered down. There's a big door.
Yeah.
Oh.
And I will say too, at this point, Kovaan, as your tree finishes growing, you see Gadramon kind of go over, and you see him touch the top of the tree, and the entire tree from top to base begins to glow this beautiful green aura. And you see these branches almost begin to twist all the way around it, almost making like a spiraling staircase on the tree itself.
Damn.
Not quite as steep as the slope itself, a little bit less steep, so almost making like a nice staircase you could walk down to the base of the tree with.
Aggie just puts her hands on her hips and says, good things come to those who wait.
You
I
did
look
well,
over
Gordon.
at Gadramon. You may not know the quick growth spell, but one day you need to teach me how to do that one.
You'll get there. Just takes practice.
Where did you learn your magic, Adramon?
There are many powerful witches in Karvasti.
Perhaps we can meet them someday.
Perhaps. But for now, I think it's best we see what's down there.
Well, best is a very subjective qualifier, but indeed we shall.
Aggie chuckles at that.
All right. So you have the staircase on the tree heading down towards the base of the slope where it will kind of meet up with where the actual hole going farther beneath the ground is at. Laerke, you see her kind of just pick up this big ass door, holding it on her back, kind of carrying it like a backpack. And she begins first going down the tree steps.
I'm behind her helping. I got it. No, wait, I got it.
Yep, Aggie's gonna hobble along as soon as it is clear that it's safe and sturdy, which I assume if it can hold Laerke, it can hold Aggie.
It's fair. Yeah. Okay, following behind Kovaan and Keen, two of you joining as well.
Always
Yes.
bringing up the rear.
Okay.
With Gadramon.
The old guy.
All right. So everybody making your way the full 60 feet down to the base of this tree. Looking down into the hole now itself, it is very, very dark. There's a little bit of sunlight piercing through, illuminating it ever so slightly to where you can see the bottom of it. There is just a pile of rubble from all the buildings that had slid down into this area. You see Laerke, she kind of takes the door off her back, kind of laying it down and begins attaching ropes to it, kind of making a makeshift platform. And she ties off one of the ropes to one of the large roots on the bottom of this tree. And looking to all of you, she says, I'll help guide the platform down from up here, if that's all right.
Quite.
And she kind of shoves the platform over, so now it's kind of just dangling up against the roots of this tree here for anybody who wishes to step onto it to begin getting lowered down.
I will test the sturdiness. I immediately just like jump and I land right into the center, but gracefully. I brace myself just in case.
Okay. Jumping on, you see Laerke almost struggle for a moment as the rope kind of slightly slips out of her hands, but she quickly gets a stronger grip on it. Nrobso, as you're standing there on the doorway, it definitely creaks, but it seems to support your weight without any issue.
I'm good to go. Is this a one at a time thing, or are we going in pairs, or how is this happening?
That'd be up to you.
Maybe at least pairs is better than individual in case something happens.
All right, Kovaan, what do you say?
Well, go with you, my little friend.
Kovaan stepping onto the door.
Yeah, so I hobble over as I normally do and kind of hit it with my staff and step onto it.
Okay. Easy enough. You step on, it definitely lets out another large creak. It's just kind of slowly swaying there above the hole. You see Laerke kind of take the rope and kind of like wrap it over one of the roots and almost kind of sit down with it just to really strengthen her position. But it seems like she's got a good grip on it, and door's holding for right now.
Very well. Is it our turn yet?
So the two of you going down first?
Let us descend into the gates of hell.
Okay. So Kovaan and Nrobso, both of you standing on this platform, being slowly lowered down, probably another good 60 to 70 feet down below. And as you're moving downward, you just see all this rubble and destruction left over from the buildings that had sunk down in. And as you're being lowered down, you see that this area down here just opens up to this extremely large cavern. You see some very beautiful, like crystal clear water, just kind of sitting at the bottom and almost draining off into various caves and branches that stretch out of this main cavern. But the two of you make it down to the ground and are able to jump off the door if you wish.
With my weapons ready still, I quietly, discreetly, if you will, I step out into the ground as I'm checking like the area.
Okay, give me a discreet check to start.
Well, set that up perfectly because that's not going to go great. I'm going to use no Shadow Spawn. My boon, Shadow Spawn, to add a +1 to discreet.
Okay.
12 out of 7.
Beautiful. So you think that you're just light as a feather stepping off this door. You splash down hard into one of these puddles, and you just hear like the sound of your step and the splash is kind of echoing throughout all the chambers. Go ahead and give me a vigilance check now, if you would.
Oh no. Flat on 20.
So as you kind of step off, looking around, it is very, very dimly lit down here. Your eyes are still adjusting. So as you're kind of looking around, you can basically make out this large pile of rubble and the silhouette of Kovaan before you. Unfortunately, that's about all you're seeing at this time.
Kovaan, I think it's pretty safe.
So I kind of snicker. That was a great attempt at discretion. And I'm going to hobble off the platform towards where he is.
Okay.
Kind of seeing if I can make out anything more.
Yeah, for sure. Give me a vigilance check as well, please.
Let's see here. That would be, just made it. 8 out of 9.
8 out of 9. Beautiful. So down here, your eyes have adjusted a bit more quickly compared to Nrobso. So looking about, off to the right-hand side, you see a couple of tunnels that continue on. Same up to the north, to the south, there's one tunnel, and even over to the west, there's a couple more. So you seem to be surrounded, from what you can see, by at least 7 or 8 different tunnel ways that continue out of this cavern. Looking towards the pile of rubble, kind of pinched down between some of these large like wooden beams and large bits of stone, you see this beautiful, almost looks like a large piece of copper just kind of wedged in between a couple of these areas.
So I'm going to look at Nrobso and kind of point out the different caverns. Do you remember which one that serpent slithered off to?
Oh, let me rub my eyes to hopefully adjust to this darkness. And I wanna take a more familiar look in the area.
Okay, for sure. Go ahead and give me a cunning check this time as you're trying to rack your brain to remember which way you saw this creature slither down.
Oh boy.
We're just using all of your best stats right now, aren't we?
It's another 20.
If we were playing a different
tell.
game, that would be you'd be killing it right now.
You can't tell which tunnel is which. They all look the same to you. You don't know which way is north, south, east, west. You just know you're in a cave.
If I had to guess, Kovaan, one of these directions the creature went. I look up super like confident in that answer.
I look down at him. Thank you for your insight. I continue looking around.
All right. Back up top. This time, Laerke has pulled the door back up, waiting for the rest of you to get on if you wish.
So I have a question for you, Aggie. Do you want to try and fit the last 3 of us on, or do you want to come at the end after me and Gadramon have gone down?
Quick question, DM. How big is Gadramon?
I mean, he's an average human size looking at him. He's probably about 5'10", not like super built by any means.
Aggie's gonna stand back and be like, do you mind if I wait and see what it looks like with the 2 of you on first?
Of course. Come, Gadramon. And I will get on the platform.
Okay. You get on. Gadramon also gets on.
How creaky is this platform sounding?
Not any more creaky than when Nrobso and Kovaan stepped on it.
All right, Aggie is 100% going to just like split her weight between it and the platform and test it.
Okay. So you put half your body weight onto the door.
Yeah.
And it lets out another large creak, and you can't quite tell if you feel it sink at all or if it's just in your mind because you're kind of in a precarious spot right now.
Great. Aggie is 100% going to get off of the door and be like, no, I'll take the next one.
Very well. See you at the bottom.
Okay. So Keen and Gadramon, both of you lower down, joining Kovaan and Nrobso down below. Takes your eyes a couple moments to adjust, but you see very much a lot of the same. Doorway
Oh
goes
my.
up.
May I possibly see if I can feel any arcane presence down any particular pathway?
Certainly, give me a resolute check if you would.
Okay, that is a 4 out of 15.
Okay. Standing down here, trying to focus your energy into what you can feel around you. You feel slightly nauseous, a little dizzy, a little lightheaded. And you feel a slight pulse coming from the northern tunnel. And as you're standing down here, the second Gadramon steps off the door, you see his eyes almost kind of roll into the back of his head before coming back. And as they come back, they've got just this slight green aura to them. And you see him just kind of looking around, not necessarily in any particular direction, just kind of pacing the room, almost like he's just looking through the air itself.
I suppose that you're also interested in the northernmost tunnel.
Well, this place, it's certainly riddled with a bit of corruption. Do you not have the gift of the sight? And as he looks towards you, you can tell that he is using witch sight.
I'm afraid that my powers are still manifesting. I really rather use other additional tools.
To each their own.
Perhaps we will learn much from the witches of Carvasti.
Back up top, the doorway once again comes up to the platform. Laerke just kind of looks towards you, Aggie, waiting for you to step on.
And Aggie, like the goddamn princess she is gonna take this by herself. But before she goes, she is going to look at Laerke and she's going to say, all right, now you be sure to take care of yourself up here. If I come over and tug on this rope 3 times, I need you to bring this up as quickly as possible. I don't care how much or how little weight is on the other end. Do you understand?
I can do that.
Wonderful. And Aggie's gonna give her a hug. Because we've got history.
All right.
Not that kind of history, but we're good traveling companions.
For sure. So Laerke will kind of do the awkward one-armed half hug.
Yeah, I'm holding something right now that's very important hug.
Let's go. Let's go.
Yep. And Aggie won't make a huge to-do out of it, unlike Coral. And she'll hop on and
all right.
Into the pit.
Easy enough, and down into the sinkhole you go as well, seeing much of the same. Now joining your companions, you see Gadramon just kind of pacing around this area. You see Kian also kind of having her attention focused down towards one of these tunnels. Actions from the group as this time, as Aggie comes down joining you.
Well, as soon as Aggie gets down, she is going to comment, oh, well, I'm glad I don't immediately need to start using my healing salves.
Well, whatever unpleasant trees await us, I do believe this northern tunnel is probably the source of most of it.
The north we shall go.
That is indeed the spirit.
Aggie mutters under her breath, oh, I was thinking north we avoid, but okay.
What do you think, Gadramon?
Gadramon kind of still pacing, looking around the room. Whatever we do, we should do it quickly. I don't think we should spend too much time down here, given how much corruptive energy still floats in the air.
Lovely. Then let's go. Who would like to go first?
Ooh. Oh. Oh.
Can you see?
Oh. 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 Choose me.
Nrobso. Well, I suppose. Okay. Gadramon. And Kovaan. Let's go directly behind Nrobso. In case. You can go wherever you want. I just assumed you would not want to do the front.
I'll be right in the middle.
Go along now, Nrobso. We're coming with you.
And I discreetly head towards the north.
Give me a discreet check if you would.
I'm gonna use Shadow Spawn again. 10 for 7.
Okay. So Nrobso, trying to be as sneaky as you can moving through this area, you are just continuing to step into this kind of the small stream that just comes from this main puddle and just heads right down that tunnelway. Rather than stepping around it, you are just stomping in the stream left and right, and just water every time you step down.
Hey Nate, real quick, are we going in the direction of that copper thing you pointed out?
That's kind of up in the mountain of rubble, and the copper piece was kind of on the southern side. The tunnel you're heading to is on the northern side.
Just checking.
Okay.
And then before we, oh, you want to go first?
Oh, yeah, but it was also before we run down about the copper thing. Does it look like it's copper, like it's part of the rubble? Like, does it look like it came from the city, or does it look like it was like buried by the rubble of the city? If that's making any sense.
Yeah, I gotcha. Would you like to get closer to inspect it, or are you just going to try to take a peek from where you're at?
I am going to try to take a peek from where I'm at with the grin across your face.
Okay, give me a vigilance check. From this distance, I'll say you have a +2, or a -2 to this roll, rather.
Okay, so that's -2
to your base.
So, okay. Ah, that is an 8 out of 9.
Nice, beautiful, beautiful. So, looking up towards this piece here, you recognize it as the sign from the Fern.
The Fern?
Which is where you had met the first individual.
Oh, shit.
Who had promised you all the rewards.
Huh. Aggie's going to be like, wait just one moment. Perhaps we might be able to find something of use in the rebel here. Aggie's gonna hobble over a little bit closer and be like, this, do you recognize? And she'll point it out to the rest of the party.
Do you say it as if we should recognize? Do you recognize?
Oh yeah. Well, no. Remember that when we first came to this town and we were offered payment, they worked here, correct? So I don't know. I don't. My memory nowadays is a little. But I don't know if they had what did we get from them?
Well, the Fern, that wasn't at the beginning, my dear. That was when we first learned of this sinkhole. This was on top of the sinkhole. Do you remember? And she said that she had some very lucrative connections that wanted this handled, and she could pay us handsomely if we were able to stop whatever is happening here.
I
Do you remember?
believe the amount was $50. $50, 50 coins, 50 doubloons, 50 each day we're on this.
Yes, and she'd already given us 50. And this fancy dagger. And I pull out a totally normal looking dagger.
Oh. Right. Sorry, I've just been so focused on, saving the lives of all the people in this town that
Oh, believe
got
me,
a bit distracted.
Aggie. I wholeheartedly remember the very first time where you failed to lock in a payment. Nrobso never forgets.
Yes. All right. Well, if there are no more fancy daggers to be found, then, and I don't really think coin will be doing us much good down here.
Aggie, do you want said copper piece?
I mean, Aggie looks through her little booklet of potions and things, also known as Coral looks through the rule book. Is there anything that I could use copper for? I make a lot of things.
Not necessarily for potions or anything like that. However, remembering how the sign itself looked, you could potentially make some money off of it if you were to take it, and you could use said money to purchase supplies.
Girl, we're about to rid a city of like an entire evil. I sure as hope we're going to be getting some payment out of this that we don't need to sell scrap metal.
No, but just in case, I will procure this stone for you. And is this like on top of a building or just buried in the rubble?
It's just kind of buried within the rubble itself.
Oh, all right then. Yeah, let me use my my axe to kind of chop away some of the stuff, and I'm just gonna. How big is this thing? Can my hand hold it?
The copper sign itself, I mean, it's a pretty decent size.
Oh,
I'd say, it's probably like the size of a nice poster board.
Wow. Upon further inspection, this is a lot bigger than I originally had imagined. Once I got closer, this isn't something I personally could carry.
Perhaps we will worry about procuring valuable goods on our way out, since time is of the absolute essence.
Well, in that case, and I start chopping at it anyways. We should probably at least put it on the door for a quick retreat should we need one.
A quick retreat means we shouldn't put it on the door, because we won't be able to all hop on and, you know what, do whatever your heart desires, and should the great Mother Nature decide that we die here today because of that decision, then so be it at this point.
And then I grab Leggy's hand and I go, Leggies, should we need a quick retreat, I promise I will hold them off for you to survive.
That's a very kind sentiment, Nrobso, but I would fight with you to the last.
No. You will survive, for this is how Nrobso is to die. Then this is how Nrobso should to die.
And they shall all remember these tales once we have begun to proceed down the tunnel, for time is of the essence.
And I start dragging the copper piece, and I just place it on the door.
All right, and as you're dragging it out of the rubble, Nrobso, give me a vigilance check if you would.
Oh no. 7 out of 12.
Beautiful. So as you're pulling this copper sign out of this bit of rubble, off to the right hand side, sticking out on another couple large pieces of stone that have fallen, you make out the shape of what appears to be a hand.
Uh-oh.
Oh.
I just start pointing. Whoa.
Aggie will rush over. And is the hand attached to anything, or is it just a hand?
It appears to be attached to an arm that gets lost underneath these large pieces of stone.
Aggie is immediately going to holler to Nrobso, quickly, we need to uncover them. And Aggie's immediately going to check for a pulse.
And while getting the debris and stone and rock off, I'm also being very careful so that nothing else comes down.
For sure. So with that, Nrobso, I'll say, just give me a cunning check to see how well you can stack these things as you're kind of pulling this rubble off, playing Tetris here.
Here we go. You said cunning?
Mm-hmm.
11 out of 7.
Okay. Kovaan and Keen, as you're watching this happening, anything the two of you are doing at this time?
I'm gonna have a kind of look of curiosity and also, I guess we hang out here for a bit, huh? And I look at Keen.
Gadramon, do you have any magic that could assist in quick rubble removal?
Yeah, I might be able to do something here. And he kind of looks in the direction. Duck, little goblin. And you see him kind of begin casting runes in the air, and he produces those large storm arrows that you can also do, Keen. And he just begins blasting some of the larger chunks of rubble that are a little bit higher up, shattering them off. But now, as you're pulling this rubble off, there's no more larger pieces above you that look to be in danger of sliding in your direction. He's kind of cleared up some of the upper areas.
Out of curiosity, have you ever considered joining a coven?
I serve the holder now, and only her.
The who?
The Holdra?
The Holdra. Interesting. That sounds lovely. Happy for you.
So, back over here, you finish uncovering this body, Aggie. There's no pulse at all. But what you do notice is this is the body of the woman who had met you all earlier in the fern.
Oh no. I mean, it's terrible that she perished, but I was more concerned with us not getting paid anymore.
Well,
But
I think the
a
best
terrible.
thing, Nrobso, your concern is valid, but perhaps we should make sure there's nothing on her person we can make immediate use of.
Oh, I am a fan of looting. So I just start going at the pockets.
Are you wearing your gloves?
I'm using the back side of my hand as always.
That's not the same thing.
Yeah, upon hearing Keen ask about gloves and Nrobso responding like that, Aggie will grandma swat him away and shake her head and get out her medical gloves, and she'll lie the girl out so she's not in the rubble, and we'll like take her out of the rubble and like lie her on the ground and do the respectful stuff and then check her pockets.
Okay, for sure. Give me a vigilance check if you would.
Yes, good idea, Aggie. You check pockets. I call dibs on any rings you find, and I will take this copper piece back to the door. And I just start dragging the piece again back to the door.
Vigilance is a 7 out of 11.
Okay,
Hey,
perfect.
I want a Slurpee now.
So yeah, as you're kind of digging through this body and seeing if you can find anything of note on her, the first thing that you find immediately kind of hanging around her neck is this medallion attached to a silver chain. And this medallion has a depiction of what appears to be a sun kind of sinking down into the ground. So you have kind of like, it almost looks like it could be a sunset.
And is that a symbolism that I would recognize at all?
Give me a cunning check if you would.
Oh, that's a 15 out of 15. Is it meets it beats?
Correct. If it meets, it beats. So you're good there. Thinking on it, it looks like the sinking sun of Prios, which is something that you've seen that could potentially be associated with the Black Cloaks.
Interesting. Yeah, I'll take the medallion.
Okay.
And
So as you take the medallion off,
I am wearing my gloves.
for sure.
Okay, cool.
And what you can feel is on the back side, it almost feels like there's like an engraving on the back of this thing as well.
Can I read it?
Yep. Flipping it over, it says, "To Anadia, my beloved daughter."
Yeah, we're gonna pocket it. And
Do you share what that said?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you ask, like, I don't know, she wouldn't say it verbatim, but if you're all like, well, what is it? And I'm like, oh, it's a engraved medallion from a parent to a daughter. Anadia was her name.
And searching through the rest of this body, you do also find a very crude rusted key in one of her pockets. And you also find this pearl-sized ball that appears to be made out of pure gold.
I'm gonna bring it up to Keen and why do I want to say Balmello? That's the dude that we hate.
Gadramon?
Gadramon, yeah. Keen and Gadramon, and just be like, I find it hard to believe that somebody would just be walking around with a lump of gold for any reason that wouldn't be supernatural. Gold is decently heavy, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like this little pearl-sized thing of gold has some heft to it, yeah.
Oh yeah. It's not like just picking up a basic rock. You can definitely tell like you're putting in a little bit of effort to hold it up.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just gonna be like, why would somebody carry this around for good luck?
May I
Let
see
me-
it?
No, let me see.
And I'm gonna hold out a cloth. Like I'll hold out a cloth for it to be placed into.
I am going to give it to Keen and not to Nrobso.
And
Okay.
Nrobso just watches it pass over his hand like,
May I please observe it for any magical property, or like know if I could understand how magic would interact with gold?
Yeah, I mean, you definitely know that gold can be a nice conductor of magic. You've heard of artifacts made of various materials, including gold. Looking at this one, you're definitely getting a little bit of an aura off of it. As you're kind of holding it up, Gadramon looks towards it with his witch sight. And after studying it for a moment, he just looks towards you and this is what is known as a mind stone.
I'm sorry. Did you, my hearing in this? Did you say mine or mind?
Mind with a D.
Mind. Okay. And can Aggie make a quick cunning check before she asks what it is?
Certainly.
Sweet. Oh, yeah, a mind stone. I know exactly what that is with a 3 out of 15.
I'll say that in your travels, you have heard of these as well. And you would know that, especially with your background, There are probably individuals in your previous line of work that would have used items similar to this, as they allow individuals who carry these, as long as they are linked together, they can communicate telepathically. So they take this Mind Stone, imbue it with magic, and they make a couple of them, linking them together, and then the individuals who carry them can communicate then via telepathy.
Ooh, okay. All right. So then Aggie's still holding it. And she's just going to be like, oh okay, hold on. Let's try this thing out. And she's just going to
I
think.
wouldn't do that if you don't know who's on the other end, would you?
Aggie's going to pull out the medallion and be like, I mean, my best guess is that this is most likely connected to the Black Cloaks. It sounds like this girl was very close, and I can imagine this might connect to the person who gifted her this, and they seemed to be decently agreeable after we had a conversation with them.
She was nervous and she wouldn't give us her name or the name of whoever she was talking to.
But she did give us gold.
She did. If you want to, Aggie, that's fine. I'm just worried about why ever she was that nervous and not giving us any information about what her name was or who she worked for.
But now, this is our chance to gain said information.
All right, then do it.
Aggie's just going to say, I don't necessarily judge people for keeping things quiet. I understand there are many reasons why they might want to do such things. And yeah, Aggie's just gonna, like, in her head go, hello?
Just confirming that you are trying to communicate through this stone.
Yes.
Okay. So with that, we're going to go ahead and jump to a quick break. And when we return, we will see what happens here with Aggie. So thank you all so much for sticking around so far. And we will see you all back here in about 10-15 minutes or so. And welcome back, everybody. So let's dive right back into where we left off. Down in the sinkhole, Aggie attempting to communicate through this mind stone. So as you whisper into it, or within your head, hello, you all see this stone begin to glow, and almost like these dark black veins begin to appear in it. And they kind of break out of the stone itself, swirling around before heading towards Aggie and just kind of slamming into Aggie's chest and dissipating off to the sides. Aggie, go ahead and roll me a d4 if you would.
Oh, yay. That's a 2.
2, okay. So as this bit of energy hits you, kind of stumble back, and you just feel extremely nauseous, dizzy, lightheaded, as you feel your muscles begin to kind of tighten up, your blood begin to boil, and you take 2 points of permanent corruption.
Well,
And you get no response out of this stone.
Aggie's gonna look at the party and be like, is that how this usually works?
All right. And like I'm already preparing like a cloth to tie it up in. Put it in this.
Aggie quickly obliges.
All right. So we have no idea who's on the other side, and we have no idea what type of power this stone holds. Would you like to carry it? Is there any way I could make some type of like check to see that if I think something can see what we're doing now through Aggie's eyes?
Yeah, you can go ahead and give me a resolute check on this if you like.
Okay. That is a nat 20.
All right. You're not certain. All you can really, all you're fairly certain of is, by Aggie attempting to use this stone without knowing who she was communicating with, unleash a bit of corruptive power. And you can kind of put 2 and 2 together. Being down in this area where there's corruption literally floating through the air, it was probably a bit amplified down in this area.
And quick question about just magic in general. Basically, everybody who uses magic gets corrupted unless they are like they're studied in it, right? Like Kovaan and Keen.
Yeah, they have an ability that lets them shake off the corruption.
So is it possible that I just am not magical enough to use it? Because I don't have any magical abilities.
I mean, anybody can use artifacts if they understand how they work. You don't necessarily need to be fully magical in them.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Okay. After experiencing this, does Aggie understand anything new about the girl that I took it from? Kind of like what Keen was saying before and what we were like discussing on break with her past and her being unwilling to give her name and all of that. Like, after experiencing this, would Aggie assume that she's a caster or under influence of a caster or
unfortunately
corrupted?
from the bit of information that you have, you can't quite glean any of that from it.
Okay. Aggie's head is just swirling at this point. And does the corruption like change the permanent corruption? Does that like affect her in any way.
What is
in
your
long
corruption
term?
threshold?
7.
7? Okay, so you're okay right now. You just
Okay.
have those 2 pieces on you. Once it hits that threshold, that's when shit will start kicking in.
Okay, but it's not like she's got like a nagging in the back of her head
Nope.
or anything right
At this
now.
point, nope. You just you felt that energy enter into you,
And
you
it's like,
tensed up
wow,
for a moment, but
don't want to do that again.
Aggie, I applaud your bravery.
Please don't. It was. I should have known better. You don't make it to my age by doing many things like that.
Oh yeah, that was definitely something Nrobso would have done, and seeing you do it, I don't want to do it.
Yeah, yes, yeah, she's just gonna look at Keen and she's just gonna be like, I shall defer to your expertise on such magical things from now on.
Thank you. And I'm sorry for the circumstance, but I do think perhaps we should all begin moving down the north tunnel.
Yes.
Very well. Nrobso, come. Quickly. North tunnel.
North tunnel. And I head north.
Yes.
okay. Moving down that northern tunnel. At this point, you all kind of begin to feel as the air starts to feel a bit thicker and heavier. The dizziness starting to kick in a little bit more as you're spending more and more time down in this area. But you make your way down this northern tunnel. It kind of begins to curve off to the right and off to the left, almost like a little bit of a serpentine path here. As you're walking through this area, Keen, you do begin to feel that that energy that you felt before get a little bit stronger as you kind of approach where this tunnel begins to turn. And as you continue to follow the turn, you exit out into just this large opened up chamber. And what you do notice too is as you come around away from where you'd felt that presence before, it begins to get weaker as you enter into this large open chamber.
Interesting. So the energy that I felt now drops away as soon as we walk in here.
Correct.
So the energy seems to be dissipating here. Perhaps it's something deeper into the earth that I'm sensing? What do we see in here?
Give me a vigilance check if you would.
7 out of 7.
Okay. As you enter into this chamber, you see stalagmites and stalactites. You see a couple large puddles of some kind of liquid. From where you're currently standing, you can't quite make it out. What you do notice too as you enter in is there's a couple piles of corpses, some of them being the blight beasts from up above. Others look like some of the townsfolk from up above as well. A lot of them bloody, beaten, limbs missing, flesh torn. That's about all you see down in this area currently.
Do they look like they were in the
over at-
process?
Oh, go ahead, Kel.
No, you. Kovaan.
So after observing Keen, I'm gonna look at Gadramon. What is he doing?
Gadramon is still kind of, his eyes are still glazed over with that green aura. And he's just kind of tracing the air, looking at the corruption. He kind of looks towards the blight creatures. And then he looks back down towards the tunnel. And you see him kind of begin to meander back down towards the tunnel that you had all just entered in from.
So he's going back out?
Correct.
And he's
Do you
going
see-
back.
Back down into that tunnel. And if you're watching him, you notice he kind of comes to where that tunnel had begun to turn, where you had felt that presence once again. And he's kind of just facing towards the wall right now.
I would like to go with Gadramon. since
Okay.
I also felt the same thing.
Okay, for sure. So you follow back, and you can see that in this wall, there's a pretty large crack down the center of it, big enough to where you can kind of peer through. And if you look through it, you'll see another large open chamber on the other side.
Is there a discreet way to break this open, Gadramon?
Mm, I'm afraid most of my magic is not of the discreet nature. There were other tunnels. Perhaps one of them connects back there. But if you want, I can happily blow this wall open for you.
I don't think we want to blow it open. I wonder if there would be a way just to make the smallest hole for us to crawl through.
Are there any tiny goblin holes?
If you wish to look for a goblin-sized hole, give me a vigilance check.
8 for 12.
8 for 12. Looking through, it's really just this one crack in the wall that you see in this area. And I mean, it's, just a couple inches wide, so you can't, there's no way you'd be able to squeeze through that comfortably.
Backtracking seems to be the only way to potentially find an entrance. Perhaps that is the route we should take.
Perhaps. Gadramon, how much time do you think we have left?
Well, first, I wouldn't spend more than another 10 minutes maximum down here today, at least. I don't know about you all, but the corruption's starting to sink in a bit.
Yes, I
Very
agree.
well.
But I'm
Aggie.
here for as long as you wish.
Aggie, do you think you could use any of your salves or any of them colored so that you could maybe paint on the walls or something to show which path we've already taken? So we know where we've been?
Aggie's slightly taken aback by the thought of smearing her wonderful expensive tools on the wall for map reasons.
I can make it.
But
I can make an X.
She'll be like, I'll see what I can do. And she'll take out the most colorful but most common and least expensive of her plants, and she'll grind it into a bit of a paste, and she'll just tell Nrobso, don't dull your blade, we need it to remain sharp.
Okay.
So Aggie boop, 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 does that, and just like a little Hansel and Gretel situation on the way out, because I assume we've been down this pathway for a minute now, and the 10 minutes is like, all right, this 10 minutes is us getting back to the platform. Nate, I do believe you're muted.
That's the plan. Yep. We can all certainly make our way back over towards the platform. So, making your way, I ask, are you leaving the body of Anadia down here, or are you taking that as well?
I will request that we take it.
Okay.
Can you wrap it up, Aggie, before we put it on the platform? I feel like she's a conduction for the corruption down here at this point. I think she deserves a burial, but can we wrap her up?
Yes. Aggie's gonna look around because she doesn't really have enough fabric on her to, unless she wants to, like, use her cloak, which she will not.
Yeah.
And is there, I don't know, how big are the leaves on this tree that was magically grown?
They're not human-sized leaves. I will say,
All right.
looking through the rubble, you do see kind of sticking out in bits and areas what look like could have been curtains that had also fallen from some of the buildings that had fallen down here. So you could certainly try to pull out one of the curtains if you wish.
Yeah, Aggie will look at Nrobso and be like, your assistance, please.
And I start slashing some curtains.
Okay.
I'll drag him over, and I'll have my gloves, and it will all be very, very by the board. I thought that was hilarious because we're literally doing it next to a board.
Well, I think the corruption is slowly seeping into Aggie. She should go up first with the copper piece and the late body. I just point.
Aggie's gonna nod and ask, is there any reason we're bringing the copper other than for coin?
Coin is the most important thing to Nrobso.
Oh,
Without coin, there is no reason for Nrobso to be down here.
Understood. And yep, without another argument, Aggie will and tug 3 times.
Okay, perfect. And I will say, as you're wrapping this body up, if you would give me one more vigilance check.
God, I was so scared you were going to ask me to roll another d4. That is a 15 out of 11.
Okay.
Wrong time to fail a vigilance check.
All right, that's all right. So you get the body wrapped up, secured onto the door, tugging 3 times. And is anybody going up with the body, or are you sending the body and the copper up first?
I'm going up with the body to keep it stable and make sure that it doesn't fall off.
Okay. Easy enough.
That would be a bad thing to do to your dead.
You and the corpse of Anadia make it up to Laerke. She's up there. She helps you both off the platform. Door lowers back down. I'll say just
Laerke is wearing gloves, right?
Sure.
Look, I'm covering all my bases.
For sure. So just to keep it expedient here, I'll say all of you are easy enough able to make it back up the platform, unless there's anything any of you would like to do before you take off out of the sinkhole.
If I may, before we take off out of the sinkhole, the entrance that was beside the north tunnel, like the one that would logically line up with going in that direction, can I please see if there's anything I can feel from it before we go up?
Yeah, definitely. Give me a resolute check if you would.
Okay, 9 out of 15.
Okay. You kind of make your way over towards that tunnel, and looking down it, I mean, it just goes straight on for a good 60 to 80 feet. But you do get a faint pull of that same energy coming from this direction.
Very well. I would like to... Is Aggie still down here? No. Okay. I'm going to take that dagger out, and I'm going to carve a little tiny symbol onto the wall right beside it.
Okay, for sure. And as you're carving this symbol in, go ahead and give me a vigilance check if you would.
Yes.
This is going to be at a -2 though.
Okay. So I subtract 2 from my stats, right?
Yep.
And you said vigilant?
Mhm.
Okay. That's a 4 out of 5.
Okay. Hey, it's still a success. So, looking down this tunnel as you're carving the symbol, you hear like what sounds like a couple rocks scattering. And as you look down, you very briefly see the silhouette of some kind of creature just darting across the hallway.
Well, that's quite enough excitement for one day. Come, Kovaan.
I agree.
I'm going up last.
Okay. So Kovaan and Keen making your way easy enough, pulled up to the top. Leaving Gadramon and Nrobso down below at this time. Nrobso, give me a vigilance check if you would.
Oh, 11 for 12.
11 for 12, okay. So, as the doorway lands back down behind you, you hear coming out of that tunnel that Keen was just at this weird guttural screech come out of it. And you see these two creatures, almost looking like a cross between a human and a lizard, kind of come crawling on all fours out of that hallway, and they both just kind of stand up in the doorway staring at you.
Gadramon, I usually say this line for my friends, but in this situation, you're the only one here. And I looked back at the lizard folk, like as we're standing on the platform, hoping it's rising us up. Is this how Nrobso dies?
I hope not, friend. And he just kind of puts one arm on your shoulder. And you see him just begin to kind of trace out runes in the air if these creatures begin crawling in your direction. But they just stand there staring as the door begins to be elevated, heading up towards the top. And soon enough, you see them disappear into the darkness as you pull up to the tree. Two of you get off the platform. Okay. And easy enough, everybody can make their way back up to the surface if they wish, unless there's anything else you want to do at the base of the tree at this time.
There were lizard folks down there. I don't know if everybody else saw them or not. It seems as if I am the one to always see the danger that approaches just in the nick of time.
I just slow blink at him. Very well. A problem for tomorrow, perhaps?
All right. And you see Laerke kind of taking the rope and tying it off on one of the roots, leaving the platform still assembled and just kind of hanging there, ready to go for the next time down.
Aggie is going to fill Laerke in on everything that happened, and also say, we'll make sure to send somebody from the village down to create a better system for you. We'll make sure that you can come with us next time.
I can use a rope.
Well,
You
Aggie,
deserve
should we burn? Should we burn her?
Unfortunately, it does seem like the best thing to do. However, in order to, how do I say this? In order to maintain the best relations, I do believe that we should present her to the Black Cloaks first and see if they know anything.
Very well. I had something to ask the Black Cloaks anyway.
Wonderful.
Balmello is hard to miss. He's only like, what, 80 million feet tall? Something. If he fell down, it would probably really hurt him.
Well, you know what they say, the bigger they are.
The harder they fall. Hmm.
Is that to say that I won't fall hard?
Exactly.
Nrobso must get bigger then. For should I fall, I want everyone to hear how great the destruction is.
Well,
That is an apt metaphor for Balmello, indeed.
Aggie's also going to put her hands on her hips and just be like, something. We have had a decent experience with these Templars in the end, correct? It was all such a blur.
I believe you did.
Yes. How do you feel about us consulting them about these things, given that they seem to demonize magic less? Aren't they much more of a bit of an intermediary as opposed to a... How would Aggie say the word dick? Honestly. How would Aggie call somebody? Dick? She just
Suffocate. A suffocate. Are they a suffocate?
Suffocating. Yes. Are they suffocating?
Well,
Oh, my hearing. I'm sorry. Sorry, go ahead.
perhaps, didn't you have a good experience with the one named, was it Leohan?
Yes. And I healed. Which one did I heal? Henlone or Venhall?
You healed the middle brother, which was, I believe,
Henlo.
And then Venhall was the one who was just kind of being like, I don't know about you. Yeah?
Mhm.
Okay, cool. Yes. I do believe Leohan trusts me at this point. And in all honesty, I trust him as much as anybody can trust somebody in these circumstances. But when such things are happening, sometimes you have to make a few leaps of faith.
Astute. Would you like Kovaan and I to speak to Balmello? Perhaps Nrobso would like to assist you with the Black Cloaks? I'm sorry, the Templars?
Oh, I mean, in all honesty, I don't believe we need to separate ourselves. I think it would behoove us to have your magical expertise in this conversation, because obviously I gesture to, your pocket where you're holding that artifact. Obviously there are many things that I still do not know, and that could be a detriment. However, my only request is that we speak to the Templars first, because I don't know what the Black Cloaks will do.
I'm gonna look at Keen. I agree with Aggie. The further distance we keep from Barmello, the better. I don't trust him. But Aggie
Indeed.
holds sway with the Templars.
Indeed. Is there a place we can keep the body that no one will touch it until we burn it?
I can imagine we can leave it here. I assume we're still at the base of the tree.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot believe anybody would be going down in the sinkhole. I won't be asking people to make a better pulley system in that case.
Excellent.
Sorry,
Then lead the way.
yeah, we'll put her out of the way, not just like, hey, here's a dead body, but Aggie treats it respectfully.
Okay.
As
Not
respectfully
to
as the
worry.
situation allows.
And then I take some leaves, and I just rip them off the tree, and I kind of like hide the body just in case. That way, no foe nor friend will know where this body is.
How well is it hidden?
I was going to ask the same thing.
Let's have Nrobso give me a discreet check on this.
All right, now I'm gonna use my shadow spawn.
You use that shadow spawn.
2 out of well, it passes.
Passes,
Woo!
okay.
Yeah,
So
2 out of
yeah,
7.
surprisingly, Nrobso grabs enough leaves and twigs to pretty efficiently cover up this body.
Ah.
So I look at Aggie with a look of surprise.
Yeah, Aggie looks back and she's just like very surprised and impressed. It's like, all right, okay. Good.
It's just like hide the boot, except without any liquor.
Will you carry this party indeed?
The simple goblin games, they're actually life skills that our tribe tends to teach us in.
Okay.
There's no time to tell you guys what hide the boot is. You just have to listen to episode 1.
All right, so body hidden, going back up the stairs. Okay, back up top at this point, you see that the local carpenters of the area have all kind of built this large fence around the entire perimeter of the sinkhole. Up top, you do see Captain Marvelo still just kind of standing guard at the main entry point where the tree had grown up. And as you all kind of begin making your way up, he kind of just looks towards all of you and, oh, I see you all survived. That's good news.
Yes. However, it's definitely not an inviting place, shall we say.
Did you find anything of interest down there?
I will tell you of the things we found, Captain Marvello. It was a dark hole, lots of tunnels, lizard folks. I would stay away from the lizard folks. That's about it.
And just out of curiosity, where did you all leave the copper piece at?
Yeah, did we drag it up with us?
I wanted nothing to do with that. That's all you guys. I don't know what she did with that.
Yeah, Aggie would not care at this point, but if Nrobso is all like, no, we need to sell it, Aggie would be like, okay.
I'm holding on to it.
Okay.
Yeah, and Aggie, Yeah.
As in, like, I'm holding and it's just dragging on the ground and it's just in my hand. Nope, nothing else. It was dark. Lots of tunnel systems, buildings, and we some lizard folks. But not to worry, we marked the places that we've been, and perhaps upon another investigation, we could find some other stuff.
And that large sheet of copper you're carrying with you, you just
Huh? Oh, this is my payment in advance.
your payment in advance.
Yes.
And who agreed to pay you with the sign?
I don't know. I was told that the living has no need for such treasures, and the dead have no need for such treasures. So this one's mine.
It
Marvello,
was
is this a fight you really want to wage with Nrobso? You know how Nrobso is, probably from the amount of encounters you've had.
and it was literally in rubble, so I don't believe you would have gone and dug it out.
Do
And then
what you will.
I hold it up and I fully show him. Do you think you have a need for such things?
Do what you will with the sign. I really, at this point, I don't even care. But that is all that you found on there.
Well,
Well, there were some other things, and I'm gonna like do a side glance at Aggie, like, like we should probably tell Marvelo about the body and the Black Cloak thing, but I'm gonna leave it up to Aggie in my eyes. Like I'm looking at Aggie.
yeah. Aggie's going to she's going to say yes, of course. But she looks around and she's just like, I would prefer we discuss more details in somewhere with a bit more privacy. Because we're still outside around the sinkhole, right?
Correct, yeah. And
Yeah.
Marvelo just kind of nods his head and gestures over towards one of his tents that he has set up.
Cool. Yeah. Aggie's gonna hobble on over and see. Is
Okay.
the party joining?
Yes, of course. Yep.
Cool.
Oh yeah, I drag the copper with me.
All right.
Can you please leave that somewhere? Are you wearing gloves? Are you wearing gloves?
I using the back of my hand.
No. How are you? No, you're not. You're using the front of your hands. That's how fingers work. That's how dexterity. I see you holding it with the front of your hands. What do you mean the back? What does that mean?
They do not make goblin-sized gloves. Give me
That's
some
why
gloves.
Oh my god. And like, I take out like an extra pair of gloves and like I put them on his hands and I take some cord and I just like tie them so that they like stay on because they're a little big.
And like it's like the little fingers are like really flappy. So I cut some holes into the slits just so that my fingertips can still come out.
Then don't close your hands. Carry like this.
Well, that's just ridiculous. I need to have my dexterous fingers to hold things.
You need to be alive in approximately a year's time.
Well, in that case, Cranko, do me a solid. And I take the gloves off and I give them to him. Cranko, 2 important tasks. 1, sell this and bring me back the entirety of the thaler that you get. And 2, hey, go check on the children's hospital just in case anything dangerous happened there. I care for the children. All right, away you go, away you go.
Is he wearing gloves?
Cranko,
Yes, he has on my gloves.
and you see Cranko just shove the gloves into his pocket, and he just grabs the sign and just kind of like lifts it up over his back. You got it, boss. And he just starts marching off through the streets carrying this large ass copper sign with him.
Wash your hands.
And I go over to the horse water bin again and just dump my hands in while I'm just looking. There.
Okay.
Wonderful.
Hello,
Now we're
Marvello.
going to corrupt every horse in the city. How nice.
So, the rest of you joining Marvello in his tent after setting off the copper sign. So, as you all enter in, there's a large table with enough room for all of you to sit on one side and Marvello on the other. He dismisses all the guards who are currently in this area. Just asks them to step outside, and he closes the flap. He goes over to a side table and begins pouring out what appears to be like some hot tea for all of you. He just hands one out to each of you and sits down across from you all, pulling out a journal and a quill. All right. So you said you found a network of tunnels, lizard folk, a large copper sign. What other details did you wish to discuss?
Quick question. What is your relationship like with the Templars?
I mean, me personally, I don't know them all that well. They pass through here, help out where they can. But aside from that, I wouldn't say I'm attached nor not attached. I mean, they haven't caused any issues for me yet.
Mm-hmm. And and then also your relationship with the Black Cloaks and seems to be kind of your counterpart in town, Balmello.
I mean, they're certainly a bit more rugged. Personally, I think Night Pitch gives them a bit too much leeway when it comes to certain things, but for whatever reason, he seems to think Balmello is a more capable investigator than some of those he has on his own guard. Again, it's not my decision. If it were, Balmello would be on a bit of a tighter leash.
Aggie's going to stand up and set the tea on the desk and put both hands on the desk, not in a threatening manner, but in like a we're getting down to business.
Mm-hmm.
And she wants to try to like read his character. She wants to try and read his face to see if there's anything deeper.
Sure. Give me a cunning check if you would.
That is an 11 out of 15.
Okay. Looking at Marvello, and especially, you've worked with him a couple times. You've had multiple encounters with him. You know him to be a straight shooter. Looking at his expressions, fairly stone-faced most of the time, but you definitely get the sense that he's not hiding anything. He's just straightforward, cut and dry. This, what he means is what he says.
Captain, I have a very serious question that is going to impact our investigation and specifically my team's ability to proceed forward. Can we trust you?
You can. Though I serve Night Pitch again, he and I don't see eye to eye on everything, but until he does something drastic that I completely disagree with, I'll stay loyal to him. However, if you need me to be more discreet about certain things while you all investigate, I'm willing to be a bit more cooperative. After all, you all proved yourself more than capable with hunting down the flare. I have no reason to distrust any of you. So if you say something needs to be handled a bit more secretive and with extra care, I see no reason to distrust you.
Aggie's going to nod and say thank you. And then she's going to bring out the medallion. And yeah, so she's going to say, the sign that we brought up was from the place that I need to look up in my notes.
The fern.
Was from the fern. I almost said the lotus. God damn it. The sign that we brought up was from the fern. And there was a woman that we met there at one point. And we found her at the bottom of this sinkhole, crushed, dead, unfortunately. However, on her person, we found two things of note. We found this medallion, this necklace, and I go ahead and show him. And I'm going to say, as you see, front seems to be a Black Cloaks symbol, or a symbol associated with. And on the back, it says, to Anadia, my beloved daughter. Are you familiar with what this may mean?
Can't say I recognize the name, but he just kind of looks over it for a few moments. Honestly, it just seems like a lovely gift to give to somebody in your family. Slides back over to you.
That is what I thought too. Until we found the second item of note. And then I'm going to look at Keen and just give a slight nod. And hold out and ask for the artifact.
So I'm starting to take it out, and I just say, just so you're aware, do not touch this at all. And are you making a gesture, Aggie, to hand it to you, or do you want it to stay in my palm?
I'm making a gesture to hand it to me, but Aggie will take it very gingerly with the cloth, not touching it. All of that. She's very used to handling sensitive materials.
Okay, so I'm gonna unbind it, and whenever I've bound up something like this, I always do more stuff to it. I put a rune and stuff on it just to try and keep it contained. So I remove that really slowly when it's in your hand, and then it opens up.
Nice. Aggie's going to show it to Marvello and say, do you know what this is?
Can't say that I do. You said this was on her person as well?
Yes.
And
this is...
Sorry.
This is a magically imbued artifact known as a mind stone.
Mm-hmm.
Known as a mind stone. It is used for communication across great distances between users. There are identical copies of this in other people's possession. And when I attempted to use it, I was overtaken by a bit of the corrupt magic. It is. I wonder where the matching orbs are.
That is a good question. Now, while I might not be able to glean any more information for you, I know that the masters of the Ordo Magica are well versed in artifacts and magical items. They're the ones currently in care of the King's Skull.
Mm-hmm.
Perhaps they can tell you more information about this stone.
And you trust them?
The masters have no reason to want to use these type of artifacts for their own purposes. They simply want to study and understand. From the time they've been here, they've caused no trouble.
May I ask a question quickly, Captain Marvello? There's a boy that travels with the Black Cloaks, one gifted with the sight. Do you know anything about that? Is that an Ordo Magica thing, or why do the Black Coats have a boy like that?
I can't say I'm familiar with this. You say you saw him with the
He has
cloak.
the boy on a rope, and he has him gagged until he needs to speak with him. You didn't notice that?
I've never seen this before personally. My guard may have and failed to report it. Generally, the Ordo Magica, I mean, I've never seen them working specifically with the Black Cloaks. I mean, anybody's welcome to visit their academy. But as far as a direct partnership, that I'm unaware of.
Very well. Now, I remember something about the Order of Magica from before. Do you all remember that?
What in particular are you talking about?
Do you remember Yagaba? That was her name, right? She wasn't from the Order Magica, but she was at Mayor Night Pitch's home.
Yagaba, she gave me the ring. Yes, I remember.
Very well. Maybe that's worth looking into as well.
The question is, how long do we have to investigate? I'm going to look at oh my god, me scrolling back and forth on my notes. Gadramon, thank you. Gonna look at Gadramon and just be like, how urgent do we need to act? How much time do we need to spend searching this sinkhole?
I don't have an exact time frame. The holder's vision simply showed destruction, corruption coming from the well within the city. I can head out of the town back over towards the woods and try to commune with the holder and the other witches of Karvasti. And I can see if they can give me any guidance on how to counteract the corruption down below so we can spend a bit more time down there. However, I think it's best that we get this handled and fully investigated within the next few days.
I do agree. Aggie's gonna put her hands on her hips and just say, I absolutely agree. I honestly wish that we could solve this problem the way that you witches wish to solve it, and that's just to come in and do it. But unfortunately, it seems that we might have a few more political things that we need to navigate in order to solve this corruption.
No, Aggie, be kind to Gadramon, for witches don't have the privilege that many people do when it comes to political stances. And unfortunately, witches know what needs to be done in order to save for the greater good.
Aggie just takes a nice deep breath and lets that sink in.
And the body of Anadia, did you leave that down there?
She is halfway. We have brought her up from the bottom, but we did not take her up the tree. We don't know, we have no idea if her body is corrupt or not, but there was corruption thick in that air, so we wanted to act with caution.
I'd like to see the body myself, if that's all right.
Aggie's gonna look at the rest of the party, and as she says, I see no harm in that.
And Laerke kind of speaks up and says, I can take him to her.
Of course. Thank you so much, my friend. But before he leaves, I'm going to say, now, Captain, we are speaking with you, and we are going to also speak with the eldest Templar brother. However, we have no intention as of now to speak with Balmello. If you could keep our conversation private, we believe it would help us a great deal.
I have no intention of disclosing any information to the Black Cloaks, as I see no reason for them to have any information.
Wonderful. We're on the same page.
Now, if you intend to speak to the Templars, you can find them at the Sun Temple here within the city. I believe that's where the brothers all went to fully recover and pass on their own information. The Masters, the Ordo Magica, you can find at the Academy here within the city as well.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
One more thing. I'm so sorry, Marvello. If you could potentially speak to Mayor Nightpitch for us, I know that Aggie used some of her medicinal herbs to mark some of the passageways down below, and if there was any funds that he might be able to spare to make sure that the mission goes off without any trouble, it would suit his needs, as he would potentially not lose his entire town if we could fulfill the mission.
give me a persuasion roll if you would.
Let's see. 7 out of 11.
Okay. I can't guarantee anything, but I'll see what I can do. As unfortunately, the mayor is very much focused on, dealing with the destruction that we just faced, and making sure that everybody else has enough supplies to get by as well. However, I know how important this investigation is, and I'll see what I can do for you.
Understood.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time.
Anything you would like to add, Kovaan, at this point?
No, I'm just listening to the conversation, and Laerke's going in the hole now.
Laerke is getting ready to escort Marvello to the body, yes.
So I look over at her and I nod and remind her to be careful. Nrobso saw a couple of friends before he came up.
I appreciate the warning. I only intend to go to the base of the tree, show him the body, and return. Is there a meeting point we should all expect to see each other at later?
Where are we sleeping nowadays?
You all do have your room still at the inn.
Which
Yes,
is now
the Rose Inn,
overcrowded with
right?
refugees because
Oh,
half
was
the
it?
town is.
Keen, did you say something there?
Oh, I was asking, is it the Rose Inn?
Correct.
Yes. The Rose Inn would be lovely.
The Lark just kind of nods in your direction, and she and Marvelo make their exit. The rest of you have the Ordo Magica, the Academy, where you can find them, the Sun Temple, or you have the inn that you can head to as well, or the rest of the town is open to you also. Actions from all of you at this point.
Time is valuable. I say we do what we can tonight. Aggie, did you prefer to go to the Temple of the Sun first? Which one's closer to our abode for the evening? The Temple of the Sun or the Academy?
The Academy would be closer.
Then we could go to the Temple first, the Academy second.
Sounds good. Cool.
Kovaan. My dear Kovaan, my coven member, have I been speaking over you too much today, Kovaan? Or are you okay?
Not at all.
Very well. Perhaps you will have some very persuasive qualities with the Templars.
Persuasion is not my trait.
A shame the people don't respect your charm more.
All right. So heading off over towards the Sun Temple then. Okay. So you all begin making your way through the streets. The Sun Temple sits over on the eastern side of town. Walking through, you see a lot of individuals who are just kind of trying to help each other. You see people kind of opening their doors to families who have lost their homes within that couple block radius. You see people just kind of cleaning up scraps, moving bodies, walking through the streets. I mean, you count probably a good dozen or so carts of people wheeling various corpses, some of them the blights, some of them the actual town folk, kind of moving them towards a more centralized area. But you push your way and eventually find yourselves at the steps of the Sun Temple. You see this building that's almost made into large circular buildings connected together. Absolutely beautiful, beautiful, stunning, pristine white stone. White stone walls. You see a couple large windows with stained glass with the image of the Church of Prios stained into them. You have the large entryway there. What would you like to do?
Yeah, Aggie's gonna hobble on up while kind of just commenting under her breath, like, always so flashy for my taste. Can't we do something a little bit more subdued? All of this money, it could be spent doing something else. And until somebody else does this, Aggie's just going to keep muttering to herself. Until something else happens.
So you approach the Sun Temple. You're just walking in through the main entryway. Just appears to be open right now. Okay.
Why not?
So
they're as welcoming as they claim to be.
So yeah, as you enter into this large circular area, you kind of see this outer hallway ring that kind of just goes around the entire area. And then you see another large double door going towards the middle of this large building. Doorway also open. Inside you see various priests dressed in just pristine white robes. You see them kind of carrying off various individuals who are also injured and sick, kind of rushing them off to different chambers in this area. What would you like to do?
Well, you're
Hobble.
the one with rapport.
Yeah, gonna hobble up to the nearest priest and give a nice little head bow and say, hello. I was looking for the Templars. I was one of the people outside during the attack who was helping assist medically, and I would like to check in on I believe his name was Mr. Henlone's status.
Yes.
He's doing well.
The three brothers, they are resting now, recovering nicely.
Wonderful. Would I be able to check in on them?
At this point, I think it's best we let them rest. But where are my manners? Apologies. I am Father Afano.
Oh, likewise. I'm so sorry. I'm gonna bow my head, say, Agithe. I look around at all of the, people that are being helped, and she's just going to be like, I very much appreciate what you are doing right now. However, I am hoping to see them and specifically speak to his brother, Leoan, I believe his name was. For I have a few updates that I really believe should be heard by them only.
Well, I'm happy to pass along the message to them.
Like I said, heard by them only.
Very well. You may return here when they have recovered.
Aggie's eyes are going to narrow. And she's going to say, what's your intention here?
My intention is simply to help those who need help.
Yes. So, why are you not allowing us to speak with these people?
Because they need to rest now. You say
Yes.
you're familiar with them. You saw the extent of their injuries.
Absolutely.
So why
I
not
know
leave them
exactly.
to rest and let their heads and minds recover? They'll be here tomorrow.
Wait. The last we saw them, 2 of them were fine, and only 1 of them were injured. What do you mean by they were all injured and need rest?
The other 2 might not have been as injured, but they still fought in the battle against those creatures.
No, we saw the one do battle, and he was the most strongest one of all. What have you done with him?
Yeah. Aggie's also going to gesture to the party and say, yes, the battle that we also fought in.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we understand the extent and severity of the issue. And I don't think you are grappling with the same reality.
Look, if you all wish to go and disturb their rest, by all means, I'll take you to their chambers now.
Yes, thank you.
But don't be surprised if they're not much talkative.
Thank you.
I would like to add, Father Elfeno, that I hope you realize it's been a very long day, and I feel as if perhaps there's a lot of exasperation in the room, not directed towards you necessarily, and that, as always, as a servant of the sun god, you are handling things as well as you see fit, and we appreciate your offer to take us to their chambers.
Aggie's going to say quieter. Yes.
He turns his
thank
back,
you.
and as he turns his back to you all, leading the way, you notice that embroidered into the back of his robe is that same sun symbol that you saw in the pavilion.
Mm.
And he begins leading you down one of the hallways.
Quick question.
Mhm.
Do we there are he's not the only priest here, right?
Correct.
Do we see that same embroidery on other cloaks or just his?
Give me a vigilance check if you would.
Aha, that's a 10 out of 11.
Okay. Looking at the other priests, they have similar looking like brooches on them, but they don't have it emblazoned on their backs like this individual does.
Okay, but they do have that symbol elsewhere.
Correct.
All right, so it might not be as big of a deal as I'm making it.
May I ask a question, Father Elfeno?
Mhm.
I've always been intrigued by the direction of the sun and the symbol of Prios. Is it a setting sun or is it a rising sun?
It is a rising sun.
Does it symbolize new beginnings, the ushering of the day, truth?
You're quite curious, aren't you?
Yes, I grew up in such a small group of people. Books were one of my true joys. And I love to learn these things, especially because I'm very curious to learn more about such a venerable and powerful god.
Well, perhaps one day we can take some time and I'd be more than happy to share my knowledge with you. But for now, since your companions are so intent on seeing the brothers, let's focus on that for now. And he leads you to a chamber. Door's currently shut on it. There you are.
Well met. Thank you, sir.
I appreciate your assistance.
Little do you know, Father Elfeno, Aggie is one of the best healers in the land. So should the brothers need more healing, she is the one you would want to see them.
We have plenty of healers on hand, but thank you. Now, if you'll excuse me, and he begins to walk off.
Yeah, Aggie's gonna give a nice polite knock at the door. And she's going to Sir Leohan? Sir Leohan. This is Agithe. I assisted you and your brothers earlier. I was wondering if you had a moment. I apologize for disturbing you at this time.
A moment goes by. Eventually, you hear some footsteps come over, and the door creaks open. Oh, yes, hello.
Hello. I don't mean to be presumptuous, and I don't know how big of a room you have there, but may we come in?
Oh, certainly. He opens the doorway. You enter in, and there's a few simple cots in here, and a couple chairs. But aside from that, it's not like a super heavily furnished chamber. It's fairly small, probably only about a 10-foot by 20-foot room.
Okay. Yeah, Aggie's gonna go ahead and hop over to a chair and sit down. And is Henlone in here?
Oh yeah, all three brothers are in here. Henlone is currently asleep on one of the cots.
Great. I am not going to go sit down then. I lied. I'm going to go and just like lightly check on him without waking him.
Yeah, easy enough looking over him. You can tell he's wearing just some clean basic clothing. You look towards his side where the wound was at. You don't see any major blood stains or anything. It's definitely still bleeding ever so slightly, but it's not like gushing out to the point where it's life-threatening.
Nice. I see this. I see your brother is healing as as best as can be expected. How are you? I do not wish to forget my manners.
Oh, much appreciated. We're okay. We're just recovering now and trying to just figure out what the hell happened exactly.
Can I look at what's Venhall's face look like?
Venhall, he's laying down on one of the other cots. He don't even bother to get up to say hi or anything. And you see him, he kind of just glances in your direction and then just throws his head back on his pillow and shuts his eyes.
Okay, I'm going to look at Leohan and I'm going to, if we want to expedite this, I'm basically going to do the same. Like, do you trust us? Who do you trust? The same conversation that we had with Marvello with Leohan.
Okay.
Yeah, like what's their relationship to the other two entities in town? And if we tell them stuff, will they keep this shit secret?
Sure. And as you kind of disclose this information, Leohan very, he's pretty blunt and just says, my loyalty is to the Church of Prios.
Okay. Okay. Wonderful. Aggie's going to look back at the party. And she's going to give them a look that's not that how nonverbal communication is so hard. She's just gonna like give them a bit of a look that she's trying to say, follow my lead, through her eyes. And she's just going to say, well, we went down in the sinkhole, and I just wanted to let you know what we found. And she's going to, tell them about the pathways and the lizard folk and everything, but she's not going to tell them about the medallion or the artifact.
Okay. You give them the name of the individual.
I do not give them the name of the individual.
Okay.
I do not tell them about the dead body.
Okay.
I tell them about
that part out entirely. Okay.
Yep, I leave that out entirely. I tell them that we also picked up that Nrobso picked up a copper sign from that place and see if there is a reaction.
As you're describing everything, no visible reaction from Leohan.
Okay. and then she's going to pivot the conversation to I know that you are all well, you travel fighting such corrupt creatures, correct? Or you may have at least some expertise in fighting the corruption and the corrupt creatures that may lurk below.
We've had experiences, yes, especially in our travels to Karvasti.
I believe my party would be eternally grateful for you to pass on any knowledge or supplies that you may have while you rest, for us to be able to continue with an investigation in your stead, whatever the fuck.
Give me a persuasion roll if you would.
Okay. No, that's a big fat nope.
Okay.
That's a
He
14
simply
out of 10.
looks towards you and just kind of nods and says, I'll see what I can do for you.
Is there a way for me to make a cunning check to kind of try and read the vibe?
Yeah, for sure.
14 out of 15.
14 out of 15. Looking at him, you definitely get the sense that he's really not going to put in a ton of effort into sharing any more knowledge with you.
Okay. Do I get the impression that he's losing some of his goodwill towards me?
No, not at all. I mean, he's still
Just-
appears to be the same type of individual. However, with you just telling him, hey, we found tunnels down there in Lizard Folk.
He's just like, okay, great. Why the fuck did you wake me up for this?
Yeah, it's one of those cases. So there's more creatures down there. Good to know. We might keep an eye on it, but if you're on that already, cool.
Great. Yeah, Aggie's just going to nod and stress the yes, any knowledge, any information that would assist us in survival would be greatly appreciated. And I won't keep you any longer.
Aggie.
Yes, Nrobso.
Aggie.
Yeah.
What about Anadea?
God fucking damn it.
And as you say that name, Leon kind of looks towards you. How did you hear that name?
It was a name that we came across. I think there was you know what? There was a body. That's Aggie, you didn't mention the body because as you read the room, I actually rolled to see if I was understanding your cues. And I failed. So there was a body. Oh, it was the woman. Yes.
I
She
can tell
employed
by your face, Leohan, that you know this person. We wouldn't have necessarily found it significant to bring up a woman dead below like so many, but it seems significant to you, doesn't it?
Oh, a whole building came down on her. We tried to save her, but by the time we got to her, she was just not breathing.
So who was she, Leohan?
She was a member here. That's really all I can tell you. Father Alfano may have more information about her, but I'd seen her in passing. I have heard her name in these halls.
May I please roll to see if I believe him?
Sure. Give me a cunning.
Yeah. Can I do the same?
Mm-hmm.
My cunning is a 15 out of 10, so that's a big no.
Yeah, mine's an 18 out of 15. That's no either.
He seems to be being honest with you.
Aggie, show him the medallion. The medallion, it had a note on it.
Aggie's going to oh yes. I forgot that I picked that up. And she's going to get the medallion out of her pocket while turning around and looking at Nrobso.
Oh. Well. Oh, I know that look.
And Aggie's just going to say, "What look?"
That's the look you give when you need me to clean up Sum's trails.
Yes. And yeah, Aggie's going to bring out the medallion and say, I noticed that I realize now that the symbol seems to match the same symbols on many of your colleagues' apparel.
And he kind of holds his hand out for the medallion.
And I am going to present the medallion to him without giving it to him.
He just kind of looks at it. And as he's staring towards it, we're going to go ahead and end this session here. So, thank you all so much for joining us today in this wonderful adventure in Symbaroum. Once again, we'll go back around the virtual table so everybody can throw out your socials, where people can find you, any upcoming projects. So let's go and start off with Keith this time.
Yeah, you can find me on IG. I'm not Kevin Bacon. Twitter, all that D&D. You can find me here, LOI808. I've been still streaming fairly regularly because I'm pushing my Extra Life charity for the end of the year. I'm now 100 away from hitting 1,000. So if anybody is able to support, come by. And even if you just want to hang out, heckle me while I research dinos playing Jurassic World with my wife, hang out. Also, I think it's December 10th or something. I'll be in a charity stream on TIO. So looking forward to that.
Beautiful, beautiful. All right. Let's throw it over to Leroy, please.
Hey everyone, Leroy, also known as Royalty No Why on all social media. Yeah, I will be joining in on the 11th as well for the St. Jude's charity stream here in Symbaroum. So Nrobso will be on a solo adventure with some new companions.
Wonderful. Let's go over to Coral, please.
Hello, friends. My name is Coral Reefer. You can find me over at twitch.tv/queerventuretime and Twitter at qventuretime, because Queer Venture Time is what? Too many characters. We are streaming on a pretty consistent schedule nowadays with Sunday Mondays and Tuesdays being those days. We are not going to be streaming today because we are swapping everything over from Streamlabs to OBS, because what? Boo Streamlabs right now. And then we're also going to be having an awesome Friendsgiving on the channel because I know what it's like being queer and not being able to have a place to go for Thanksgiving. So I want to make sure that everybody has a place to go. So you can go to my channel and we'll give you good vibes. We will not feed you turkey.
All right. And of course, Kelsey, please.
Hi guys, I'm Kelsey. I'm Tombs and Tomes on social media, and it was really great playing for you today. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and thanks for stopping by.
All righty. And of course, our fifth player for the evening who could not join us tonight, Christine, the wonderful Laerke. Find her on Instagram and Twitch at Slumberjane. So again, hoping you get well soon and quickly, and we look forward to seeing you in our next game. And you all know me. I'm Nate. You can find me on Instagram at DungeonMaster_discussions. as well as lurking around in our Discord, hanging out. So thank you all so much for watching. Thank you to our wonderful sponsors. Thank you to the Initiative Order creative team. And like Keith and Royal had mentioned, we do have a charity weekend coming up in December, the 10th, 11th, and 12th, raising funds for St. Jude. So keep an eye on the socials for all the details there, as we'll get all those rolling. Should be a good time. So thank you, everybody. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you in the next adventure. Goodbye.